Ross, first of all, before we talk about Saturday's game, a new head coach has been announced, so is that a bit of a relief for everyone around the club to know that plans are in place?
Very, very much so. It's great that it's been done so quickly. I think it's shown how well prepared the club was, even though it was extreme circumstances in the manner at which it happened. So, yeah, I think since it got close to the decision and certainly the clarity today, you can see in the group that everybody's always upbeat when a new manager comes in, but very responsive in terms of the way that they've gone about training today and their reaction to the fact that the manager is here and getting ready to start.
Yeah, and I guess when you do have an unexpected departure, trying to get stuff done quickly is important, and the way in which it has been done suggests with all parties it was what Colchester United wanted perhaps quite quickly, and Ben's obviously agreed as well.
Yeah, I think obviously my responsibility has been taking the team, but I think working with Dimitri and the board so closely in my usual role, I see how well prepared and the succession planning that goes into place. So it's not as if everyone was sitting there planning the replacement for Matt Bloomfield, but you understand what I mean in terms of making sure there's a bit of an eye and an idea on what the future must look like. Because I think if you're not doing that in any business, but certainly in football, the short term of everything, for the good, bad or the indifferent, is you've got to be ready. So I think it's shown that work is there and has been done very well in order to make sure that the shortlist that's in place, I suppose, straight away is followed down and we make the most of getting the people that we really want at the club.
Yeah, and like you say, when you do get an announcement, there is perhaps a lift around the squad. Do you think that means your preparation for this weekend? Does it feel a bit different to last weekend in how you go about preparing for Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I've sat in this chair as an interim coach a few times now, and this is probably the most surreal. Because I've had it where the new manager's sort of been there on the day of a game, but not been in the building to meet people and that sort of thing. So this has been the most sort of unusual way of going about it, but I think it gives Ben a little bit of time to breathe, and he hasn't got to come in and try and hit the ground running. And then the flip side of that is he stood on the side of training today, he's introduced himself to members of staff and players, and that's given everybody that new manager bounce and lift without him actually having to get hands-on. So it's a bit unusual. It's very, very different, to answer your question, to last week. But we feel as though the preparation's already been good, and now it doesn't get, I don't know if disrupted is the right word, but it doesn't get changed now all of a sudden with the manager turning up and trying to implement completely new ideas with a day or two to go before we play. So hopefully, obviously we only find out on Saturday how good or how well that's gone, but it felt good and right by everybody today, and most importantly for the players and Ben, it gives everybody that little bit of time to work towards next week.
And has he just been watching, and is he keeping away and just observing on Saturday? Has he had anything to say to you so far?
Surprisingly, I could have probably only put myself in that position to sort of say, if it was me, would I do this or would I do that? And surprisingly, he's contained himself. I think it would be very difficult for me if it was a new job to stand back and show that patience, but he's been out there, introduced himself to the players, and then let us get on with it. And we've constantly referred to him and asked him if he wants to say, if he wants an input, and he's let us do the work in terms of preparing everybody for Saturday. So I think the fact that he's a new manager and he's around, his presence will get felt, and people will be trying to impress, as everybody should be. So I feel it can only be a positive.
And it's away at Bradford on Saturday, a team that are pushing for those playoffs. For Colchester United, though, I guess it's about just shoring things up and trying to get back to winning ways, but also cut out any of those defensive mistakes that we have seen. I
think if we do, we're not far off, are we? Obviously, I've taken the Carlisle game into consideration when preparing for last week. And it's obviously been two marginal mistakes. I don't think there's been a lot in either of the last two games to suggest that we were well beaten or not in the games. I think if we'd have drawn both of those, or potentially had a drop or rub of the green in our favour, there wouldn't have been, we'd have been still answering or asking the same questions in either way. So yes, I think that is the most important thing. Cut out the marginal errors. I wouldn't call them silly errors. I think the goal last week should and could have been dealt with a lot better. But if we can maintain our concentration, I think we're certainly in games, and hopefully the work that we've put in to progress and be forward thinking and creative to create chances for ourselves, gives us that little bit more of a platform to build on if we don't give those silly goals away.
And you are blessed with options, and particularly attacking options, and perhaps in the last few games it's not being able to convert chances. So are you still kind of working out combinations and what is going to work best to be able to get you scoring those goals?
Yeah, I think, again, great thing for the new manager is that he can spend that time analysing and assessing that. I know he's just spent a lot of time watching games back of ours to see where we're good, bad, indifferent, strong and not so strong. So he can work that combination out for the longer term a little bit more. But yeah, the answer to your question is for sure. I felt we created some good chances last week. We could have done better with a few moments that would have led to two better chances being created. So I think that's a big part of our performance at the weekend is getting into good positions and the good decisions that are going to help us create those more glaring opportunities or those more opportunities that we feel we should be taking. But I was pleased with the amount of times we got the ball in the box and the pressure that we did put on Northampton at the weekend. So it's about us building on that and refining that for the weekend.
And for you, having been back on the touchline, are you looking forward to getting back to the day job? Have you enjoyed being back amongst the fold of the front line? I have enjoyed working with the group and working with the staff. Elliot and Dave have been excellent to work alongside and to work for me and the ideas that I've wanted to put in, as well as the other staff around the first team. The players have been very responsive, so from that perspective it's been enjoyable. It's not something I particularly put a focus on wanting to do, so I have a bit of a different viewpoint and a different outlook on it. I'm not a very big match day coach or match day manager. It's not something that's ever really driven me, so I don't particularly enjoy that 90-minute period, and I certainly don't enjoy the half an hour beforehand when the players are warming up and you've got time to think. But on the whole, the experience, I feel that I can be calm with it because of those reasons, because I know that I've got a job to go back to and a job that I really enjoy doing and a job that I feel that I've done pretty well since I've been at the club. So I've probably enjoyed it a little bit more than I thought I would do when I first come in, but I'd be quite happy once Ben takes the reins over and I can step away. And a job that you can go back to and enjoy doing with him as head coach. You're looking forward to working with him in that aspect as well? Yeah, really. I mean, obviously, it's been surreal. I've had two transfer windows with two different managers, and the dynamic's been very different on both of those occasions, and I think that will change and evolve and move again in terms of the characteristics and the types of players that we'll be looking for now. We've got a new manager. It's quite refreshing when I come in this morning, some of the conversations that I've had with Ben and the games that he's been watching, the players that he's seen and identified. I can obviously familiarise with a lot of those players, so that gets us off on a good footing. I think last time it really helped me selfishly when I moved away from working with the first team after Wayne Brown left, that me being able to analyse the squad, where I felt we were good, where I felt we were strong, and areas where I felt we could develop, really helped me in terms of the January transfer window, as well as the backing, of course, that Robbie gave us to bring the new players in. I felt I had a real idea of what we needed and what was going to help us. So I think this experience will help that again, and obviously building a relationship with Ben will obviously make that even better.